Secrets home builders don't want you to know.
When we were talking in advance, you said, yeah, I was going to do one, but can you tell us about that?
So I've always kept a lot of notes over the years. And I thought, at some point I'd like to write a book, a book. And just on the stuff that I know that can help people out. Because I'm always kind of repeating myself with somebody that's building a house with, a builder or a contractor, even renovations and anything to do with construction. Secrets home builders don't want you to know. So that became the first book I was working on. And but then I realized, there's a lot more information that I'm going to need another book or two.
Welcome to Season 3 of Beyond the Business Plan, the podcast for burned out professionals and entrepreneurs who know there's more to life than just hitting the next revenue goal. I'm LeAnn, Lyon, founder and chief joy officer of joyminder.com. I'm a private money broker and creator of the Sailing System, SAILING system, for designing a business and life you actually love. Each week this season, I'll be talking with guests and sharing stories about what happens after the business plan works. Money, real estate, legacy, faith, and whole person success. If you're ready to join the sales setters and chart your own course beyond burnout, hit that follow or subscribe so you catch every episode. When it comes to new home construction, few people understand the process from the inside out quite like today's guest. With over 30 years of hands-on experience in residential building and new home sales, he's seen where projects go right and where they often go wrong. As the author of 3 books, The New Home Sales Without the Nonsense, Secrets Home Builders Don't Want You to Know, and most recently, Construction Intelligence for Realtors, he's on a mission to help real estate professionals speak the builder's language with clarity and confidence. Who is this industry veteran bringing transparency, truth, and practical wisdom to the world of new construction? Let's find out as I welcome him to the show. Scott, are you there?
Hi, LeAnn. How are you doing?
Great. It's good to see you. So where are you today?
So I'm in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico.
Fun.
Yeah, it is fun. It's different. I mean, it's certainly a change from what I've been used to.
So where did you start your career in everything that you're doing?
So I was born and raised in Canada, and then I went to work in the U.S. doing architecture in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and did a 10-year of work there, which I really enjoyed. It's a great place, great people. And, I took real estate also there while I was there, but I couldn't practice real estate because I was on a work visa for architecture. So that being said, I had to head back to Canada, and home building is where I landed doing that. It was a good transition from, architecture doing construction,
Sure.
residential and commercial. So yeah, it was nice.
So did you go to school for architecture in Grand Rapids?
Correct. Yeah. So I went to school in Canada, and after I finished school, the U.S. looked like a cool place to be. So, and it was, I'm not going to lie, I really enjoyed it. And so that's when when I made the change.
Okay.
And,
So you were working in an architectural firm actually
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 2 of them actually while I was there. And it was a nice stint, and I learned a lot. I definitely learned a lot, and it was enjoyable.
Now, then when you went back to Canada, did you end up pursuing the real estate license still?
No, I was considering that, but I got into home building, and I was running everything.
Okay.
I was involved in everything, I should say. And so sales was something that was lacking always in that industry. And I already kind of had the feel for it and felt gravitated to that area. And that's when I kind of took that on. So I didn't really in new home sales, you don't need to be licensed and carry the license forward. So, but I was working with a lot of realtors also and trying to get them on the right page for selling our homes also. So
That makes sense. I mean, they're the ones out in the community, meeting the people, meeting the potential buyers. So let me just refresh again. So you started with the intention of becoming an architect. That's what you went to school for?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And
Nice.
I found that it wasn't exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, right. As most people do.
Right.
Very few people end up doing, I went to school to become a teacher. Now you could argue I still teach, but I'm not teaching in a traditional, school.
Right. Yeah, but you learned a lot on the way, right?
I learned a lot on the way. Yeah, 5 years, seventh grade math teacher for 5 years.
Wow. Yeah, that's a change for you also.
I loved it. I really loved the kids. I loved working with the kids. I love seeing the light come on in their eyes. But
Yeah,
and what I'm doing today, I still get that. It's just that it's a different population that I'm teaching.
which is great, right? You're helping people, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you went back, so have you designed some of the homes then that you've built
Yeah.
with your
Yeah,
background?
I was involved in a lot of from commercial construction, from design build all the way through. So when I say I've been involved in every aspect of architecture and sales and construction, administration, it's, you know, I don't know if you could really do much more than what I've experienced. I mean,
Very
it's,
cool.
you learn a lot, and you're always learning. So I'm not saying that I know everything.
Yeah.
Certainly not saying that at all, but I enjoy what I do, and I enjoy learning and helping people out.
Very cool. So your very first deal, your very first thing, did you just buy some land and decide to build something and sell it, or what was that like? Your very first new construction deal?
Yeah. So when I moved from the US to Alberta, I'm just gonna grab a drink here. I landed in a company, a home builder. It was a mid-size, and they were kind of they're a pretty big player in our space, which was really good. I mean, it was something different for me, but it was challenging because I had to figure out a lot of things, and costing was one of the problems that they're running into, budgeting, and I learned a lot. Let's just say that. So I didn't have to purchase land. I didn't have to invest into anything. I just stepped into the role and moved up really fast because I understood a lot of it. Just seemed like a natural fit. So at that point, I decided after 8 years of that place, which was great, it was time to move on, and I partnered up with a couple other guys, and we purchased land. It was very cash and commitments for cash was huge.
Yeah.
In Alberta, always in the cycle of highs and lows, was really difficult to work with in that industry. But we did, close to 100 homes a year, and
Wow.
and we did that right out of the gate pretty quick. So we had all the systems in place to making it effective, efficient, and everything. But I think after another 8 years of that, we decided that maybe something different for all three of us, and that's what we did.
So you separated, kind of went your own ways, and you started your own thing.
Yeah, it timed out well because my family was pretty young, and that was getting important to me too. And I like having time for my family. I do, and my pets. That's a big part.
Pet?
Yeah.
What kind of pets do you have?
Oh, we have an 80-pound Labradoodle, Ruby. She's needy.
Yeah.
And then we got 2 cats that we adopted while we've been here in Mexico.
Yep.
One was a rooftop cat, which was pretty cool. And the other one was just in the marina where we live, and just kind of straying around. And so we adopted her also. My daughter had to have that one. So it became part of our household now. So
If anybody's watching us on YouTube, you might have just seen my eyes like start to sparkle because he mentioned living in a marina. Anybody who's been following my podcast knows that is ultimately one of our goals, is to live on a boat and to do what's called the Great Loop in the eastern part of North America. So living in a marina and marinas plural for 2 years is one of our goals. Very exciting.
Well, it is. When we first moved here, the marina was just, I've always loved water, sailing, and that also as yourself. So that was something that it was one of the checklists that got us here for sure. And I mean, we had to do a lot of construction here also, and we've done other projects throughout Puerto Vallarta. So and those had its challenges, I gotta say, but they all work out. It's just, you got to roll with it. Everything works differently, and that's what I like about it. I'm always learning and evolving, so
Very
it's a
cool.
good thing.
Well, about your cat, you have a marina cat. We actually adopted a graveyard cat. We were at my grandmother's funeral, of all things, and this little scrap of a little black cat. I mean, my hand is small and it fit on it. It was so tiny. And he just decided we were his.
Yeah, I get it.
He adopted us. I mean, we actually tried to put him down and drive away, and he's like bouncing behind us. I'm like, okay, just stop.
Well,
And granted, I was highly emotional given, where we were and why we were there, but he's turned into the beautiful, he's part Maine Coon. He's got to be. He's huge, kind of medium long hair, beautiful cat. And of course, we named him after my grandmother.
yeah, these ones taking their place in our home for sure, and they're fun. Like, they're both female, so they get along great. Play together all the time. Ruby loves them. So,
Yeah.
well, I wouldn't say loves them, tolerates them. I mean, she likes them and that. She'd like to play with them more, but I don't know, they just kind of have their little quirks with each other.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they get along, and that's the key.
Well, they say there's cat people and there's dog people. You're obviously both, which is awesome.
Oh, absolutely. I just like all animals, I guess. It's
For sure.
so I would have a horse here too if I had the room. I would have.
That could be a challenge on a boat.
yeah, that could be for sure. So I think
What kind of back to, so we talked about sailing. Well, in my business, I have what I call the sailing system, SAILING, and I say, tell people that's not about learning how to sail. I do plan to get my captain's license. I do plan to live on a boat, but the sailing system for Joyminder is about that process that you go through as an entrepreneur. You start out with setting your course and then anchoring your readiness and kind of getting ready, then finally launching your business. And you've been through this multiple times.
Yes, I have. And sailing's a good analogy of it all.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Well, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Why do you say that specifically?
I would say because you don't know what weather you're going to run into. That's certainly life in itself. So, I mean, you're going to get curveballs thrown at you, and how you handle them. You're going to have life skills. You're going to have to learn on your feet quickly.
Yeah.
Or you're in trouble, right? So, and that's happened with every business I've been in. I mean, that's just the way it is, right?
Yep. Yeah. After the L, which is launch, the launching of the business, I is actually integrating and adapting, because usually what we think our business is going to be like isn't exactly how it turns out. But then N is navigating the storms. So you've also mentioned that. So that I and the N part towards the end of the word is all about that. Once you launch, you're not done. In fact, it's really the beginning.
Yeah,
Again.
I agree. No, I've never heard it said better or put in a, nailed down like that. But that is so true.
Yeah. And ultimately, when people start a business, they set their sail, they anchor their readiness, they do all the stuff, they launch, they integrate, they navigate. And what their goal is to get to that last letter. They want to get to the grow and go beyond, which is phenomenal. But in my sailing system, I actually put a period between every letter, S period, A period, all the way. But the G does not have a period at the end, because it really isn't an end point, is it?
No, I don't think so. Like I think you're always looking at new ideas and new direction.
Yep.
And that's the exciting part of being an entrepreneur. I mean, as an employee, which I was mostly the U.S., of course, I was on a work visa, so I was constrained to doing what I was doing, which I wasn't really enjoying what I was doing anymore. So I'd have to reapply for something else, which I wouldn't be qualified to do under the obligations and that of what's met under immigration. So yeah, I mean, just feeling the freedom is great. I mean, I feel blessed every day when I look at my life. I mean, yes, it has its challenges. I'm not going to say it doesn't, but the alternative would be a lot worse.
Is there one thing that you wish you had known before you stepped into being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I just wish I had all the knowledge I have now before I went in. But I mean, that crystal ball, right?
Sure,
That's
right.
that. But I just find myself helping a lot of people this way now. And consulting is what I do because I enjoy it. If I can't help somebody, I don't want to, there's nothing I can do. But if I can help, that's a good feeling too, because I've been there. And I wish I had somebody like myself to talk to and to navigate with, as yourself. I'm sure you feel that way.
Yeah, that's why I started Joyminder. I had already started and run many businesses. I saw the value of it, and I wanted to help other people who were struggling to do the same. Using in my, I refer to my faith quite a bit, but I just said I was given certain gifts, the gift of gab, everything you can say from just my interests, my abilities, my talents, my gifts, my looks, whatever you want to say.
Yep.
If I'm going to use them fully, then I had to figure out a way to integrate all those things together. And so having this podcast, running my summits, and having the businesses that I have are all very integrated, and they keep changing. In 2025, I added a new part to my business, which is partly real estate. So if anybody listening doesn't know, I do have my real estate license here in Minnesota. I decided not to fully bring it back, though. It's actually on a status where I can do referrals. And because I'm part of a global real estate broker, eXp Realty, I can do referrals all around the world because we have offices in lots and lots. I can't even remember the number of countries. They keep adding them. Like every month or two, there's new countries being added.
It's one of the biggest players out there.
One of the biggest players.
Oh, absolutely. I worked with that brand for a long time.
Yeah. And I love it. I love that I can make those referrals. I also, I'm not a listing agent. I'm not a seller's agent, but if I meet somebody who's looking for somebody, I'm happy to go meet some realtors, find the best fit and make that happen. I worked with a woman here in Minnesota, wanted to buy a house in Texas. So I found, and she wants to do real estate investing. So I found a realtor with experience in real estate investing, and I put the two together, and they're off and running.
Excellent.
And I get paid for that.
So it's a win-win.
It's a win-win. It's another form of consulting, essentially, but using my love of connecting people.
That's what you're good at.
Yeah. And then expanded into that, now doing private money brokering, where again, I get to connect people looking for money with people who have the money. And that's been a whole surprising learning curve as well. It's been really fun.
Absolutely. It's exciting, isn't it?
It is. It is. And it's fun when you can kind of circle back on things like, why did I spend all that time getting my real estate license? And then kind of like you with your architecture license, you say, well, I spent all this time and all this money to get this degree. Now what am I doing with it? When you find the reason, which I feel I found with the private money brokering, now all those hours and all that time and even the challenges I had with it make a lot of sense because my understanding is so much better.
Yep. No, I hear you. That was one of the challenges I had when I was getting out of the architecture, working in a firm, was I felt like I was either letting myself down or am I supposed to be doing this because I paid all this money and all this time into it? But it actually was a huge stepping stone in what I do. It's as yourself, right? It's just, you're just finding that path.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the biggest struggle that professionals have or employees have, stepping into their own is it the right thing to do? Am I ready to leave the security of what I've got for the uncertainty of the open ocean, if you will?
Right. But then again, the uncertainty of you, 'cause if you're working for someone, you can be laid off any day. You don't see it coming. And I witnessed that myself, right? So I think it's a bigger gamble working for somebody else and being an entrepreneur, in my opinion, or in my experiences with other people also.
That is not wrong.
Well,
That is not wrong. But a lot of people don't see it that way. And they don't need to. We don't need everybody to be an entrepreneur.
no, and it's not for everyone,
No.
absolutely not.
You have to be willing to take some risks.
Yep.
Can you share a time when you did take a risk that maybe didn't work out so well? Are you will?
Okay, that's a good question. I've been pretty fortunate in everything I've done, I guess. I mean, because I owned a painting franchise right at COVID.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was unusual that we bought the franchise, our territory and all that. And actually crazy, did very well. I thought, oh man, COVID came right when that happened. I thought, well, I'm screwed. And but it wasn't like that at all. I mean, referrals was just coming in like crazy. People were happy. It was a tough business, so that one. When I was qualifying to be a franchise owner, I had to call a bunch of different, review a bunch of different owners themselves, and they made it sound it was going to be so easy and that, but no, it was tough. Like it was the toughest business I had been in. You'd think painting, oh, how much easier could that be? A little color here and there, done. But no, you're managing a lot of people. And that was a turning point for me, is I got to be doing something that's not dependent on so many employees. I mean, that's something that you don't have a whole lot of control over. And at least it doesn't feel like that, right? And so that was one of the biggest challenges I think I ran into, was working with that in that industry. Was employees driven for sure.
How long did you stay with that franchise?
Well, I had that for a year and a half, and I sold it for more than I bought it for. So yeah,
The win.
it worked. It was the guy that took it over. I think he's doing well with it. It's hard to keep in contact because I'm not around now, but he was doing well. So I wish him the best always.
That's great.
But with the franchise, you follow the systems. If you follow the systems, you'll do fine in most scenarios. But you got to be really, really, how do I say that? Disciplined in making sure you're following it, because it's a formula. If you're not going to follow it, I don't advise anybody to buy it, because you can just do it yourself and fumble your way through it, right? They've got a system, and that's what they're selling you. So
Yeah, follow the system.
yeah, I mean, it also made me realize I want, like I said earlier, I want to be independent, location independent, and that's where Mexico became our focus, right? So
Sure. Well, earlier you mentioned that, one thing that you like about where you're at now is that you are able to be able to give more. And I'm not going to presume I know exactly what that means, but you did mention that you can be a consultant. That's a way of giving, obviously. Of course, you're paid for it too, which is beautiful. One of my goals is to be at a point where we can live on 10% of our earnings, and do actually give generously of that 90%. Now, I'm nowhere near that today, but having that aspiration in that goal. Now, 10% isn't going to have to be all that much when we're living on a boat. We know what it's going to cost.
right,
It's not free, but it's less than what you have to pay generally to live in a house.
right, and that's your goals, right?
That's your goal. That's right.
And that's when you set those. And that's how I feel here. I mean, I try to give back, like you said, and I want to give back a lot more. I mean, that's ultimately why our purpose,
Yeah.
being here and that, and giving back to the communities here. I mean, we're trying to get to that position where it's meaningful and impacting, right? And we'll get there. It's
So
all coming, it's all building. It takes time to do what we're doing, but it all comes around too.
for communities that are people that are unaware, what type of communities or situations are in Puerto Vallarta that maybe everybody pretty much thinks, oh, vacation. But what are you talking about? What else do you see down there where you can have an impact?
Well, I mean, there's a big population. I mean, Puerto Vallarta is vacation area for sure,
Yeah.
but it's also real Mexico. And, there's poverty. They don't live beyond their means. I mean, anybody that owns something here, they own it. Like, they don't have a mortgage on their homes. They don't have, if they're driving a car that's in rough shape, well, it's paid for. If they drive a brand new car, it's also paid for. So where I can help, animals, I definitely want to help there. That's without saying. And we do help in that area. There's a church right by a building that we built, a sixplex, recently completed, and we're half sold out, and we're doing we have the other 3 to sell. But that church, we want to do some work on them, and everything helps, right? So
Right.
The thing is, in Mexico, everything's done in stages of what they can afford to do at the time. They don't over leverage themselves. They don't put a bunch of capital into something that doesn't make sense for them. So if I go in there with $20,000 and just give them give me their scope, and that we can go a long ways with that. This labor's very affordable here, and they're very skilled people here. So I can get a lot done with those kind of, that kind of capital and commitment. So those are the areas we are focused on currently.
I love it.
And the animal part, I mean, there's a lot of good people there always helping the animals here. And we want to make sure that continues. I mean, our one cat, the rooftop cat, what the couple did is they would spade or neuter the cats that were on the roof. And this one, and then they return it back to where it was.
Mm-hmm.
And this one didn't want to leave, so it wanted to be around humans. So my wife and my daughter were like, hey, can we adopt this? I'm like, well, sure, I guess. It's just another animal, and we can go do that all day long. But we did, and so that's what they do to help out, is spade and neuter. And we tried to pay them for that, for hours in particular for doing that, and they don't take it. So
Wow.
That's pretty good. There are a couple of Colorado, I believe, and they've done a lot of good. Good to see that.
Well, that's what I love about the stage of, growing and going beyond, because it really is about going beyond what you imagined, beyond what you thought was possible maybe at one point, but also beyond, just staying where you are, looking for those new opportunities and new ways to help. And I love hearing that you've done that. You've done it in another way as well. You've published 3 books. When we were talking in advance, you said, yeah, I was going to do one, but can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So I've always kept a lot of notes over the years. And I thought, at some point I'd like to write a book, a book, and just on the stuff that I know that can help people out. And just at one point, because I'm always kind of repeating myself in a lot of situations that seem to be ongoing with somebody that's building a house with, a builder or whatever, a contractor, even renovations and, anything to do with construction. So I started with the first book. Actually, it's great.
There you go.
Yeah, so that's the first one, Secrets.
Yeah, go ahead and say the name.
Oh, okay, yeah, Secrets Home Builders Don't Want You to Know. So that became the first book I was working on. And but then I realized, there's a lot more information that I I'm going to need another book or two. So now on it.
For any podcast listeners, this is why you want to come over and watch us on YouTube, because he was just showing the book. It's very attractive cover, by the way.
Yeah, we outsourced that. I gave an idea of what I wanted.
Good. Yeah.
I had a vision. They came up several options, and I was like, yeah, that one, that kind of nailed it. It was kind of a little off than what my original view was, but I realized what I was thinking was probably going to be kind of goofy anyway. So,
well, that's the beauty of, we don't have to be experts in every field. I talked to so many people. Like, if you had to become a professional book publisher in order to publish a book, you never would have done it, you know? So, but you did publish a book, and then you decided to publish a couple more.
Yeah. So then I did book number 2.
Home sale without the,
without the nonsense.
Without the nonsense.
Well, I used to say without the BS, but Amazon didn't like the BS, so we changed it to nonsense. And so that one's more geared for, well, realtors too, but actual new home salespeople that are working with the builder, and that's their goal. So that one was another one that we did, and then I did my final one that just right around the end this year of 2025 was construction intelligence for realtors. So that one, and all 3 are already on Amazon, and they're doing quite well. So I mean, when I say quite well, they're selling. So, and the reviews are getting really nice. So
now the third one you showed, it has a little red badge on it. What is that? What's in that badge?
Yeah, so we just put that on there. Is from the author of the New Home Sales Without the Nonsense. So
okay.
And I don't know if I'll ever do another book, but I might. I mean, if I see stuff coming up that, you know, I certainly could do another one, but it's just a lot of work and just and stressful. I don't know. I'm not naturally gifted at that kind of stuff, but I have a lot of information. So it's there. The reviews came back, which were great so far. So I mean, that's always huge, right?
Yeah.
The biggest fear I have is, okay, I put all this time into it and everything I think is relevant. Now, is that going to be what people feel about the book?
Well, and things change. Eventually, there isn't more information that comes out. I'm going to say one thing quickly for anybody listening. Yes, these are on Amazon. And if you really want to get a copy, I'm going to encourage you, go to Scott's website. I'm going to put it below here on the podcast, on the YouTube channel. Buy it directly. I think that we forget that as entrepreneurs, whenever we have to outsource things, there's advantages, right? Amazon has a huge distribution. We can be found there. But if you ever have the opportunity, you're listening to this podcast, you're hearing from Scott himself, just go to his website. And again, all the links will be below, and get the books right there. Scott, would that help you out?
That would. Yeah. And I also have an audio book of the last one, the Realtors for Construction Knowledge, because I know realtors are busy. They're in their cars traveling a lot. So that one, I just finished that. Also had that outsourced. It's not my voice, but I like the voice. So it sounded kind of, we had a bunch of auditions for it, and I was excited the way the guy sounded. So
I personally would love to read somebody else's book and have my voice be the voice of an author. I think that would be great. I do plan to write a book at some point as well, but not there yet.
It's over, would you?
What's that?
Would you do the voice for somebody else's book?
I would be willing to. Yeah. Yes. If the right situation, a topic that I could get behind, I think that would be really fun to do.
Well, I did try to do mine a little bit, and this is just not for me.
Yeah.
Not my thing. Once again, like you said, you got your strengths, you got your weaknesses, and that's just not something I'm comfortable doing, right? So,
but I appreciate that you tried it, that you gave it a try, and then, because honestly, you don't know what you're going to like or not like unless you give things a try. Now, the 3 books you have, are different audiences for each book, or are they all kind of geared at the same audience?
Well, yeah. So the first one, the Secrets book, certainly is more, I would say, for the person that's doing a home renovation, of any kind, dealing with contractors, any kind of contractors. This will help hugely. But also anybody that's going through the, building from, stakeout to handing over the keys. I mean, that's your go-to book. And that's what I've been seeing is the people that are buying and reviewing it. Those are the people that really are getting the real value. But like I said, even renovations are tough to deal with. How do you deal with when the contractors, and I'm not saying that it's always the contractor or the builder that's causing maybe the confusion or the disconnect. A lot of times it's simpler than that, or just needs to be addressed in the proper way. And then it gets back on the rails again. So that's what that book's for. The second one was, I think I said earlier, the new home salesperson that's sitting in the show home. That's what they're doing. And there's so much content in there that'll help them along. It can actually get you from 0 to 100 in a week. And then the realtor one, that's just everything I've dealt with. Because when we were in the home building, one of my partners had a real estate firm, and we had 25 realtors at all times, which was great for me because I'm like, I need salespeople, but I need ones that can do the job properly. And some of them couldn't grab it. And this book would get them there. And because it's everything I went through with them, I would take them to site visits, show them what's important, what to look for. And those ones, well, they just increase their referrals and their confidence with their clients overnight. So that was the key. And that's where I thought, well, this is a book. So I couldn't do it all in one book because it would be one big fat book, and that's not going to work. Yeah.
Well, I think it's perfect that you have the 3 audiences as well. That's just beautiful.
Yeah. That's it, right? Nobody wants to read a book that's not relevant to what they want. So I hope whoever does buy whatever book or buy 3, I mean, it's all done with real world experiences. It's not a book that's a bunch of theory. That's not the book it is. It's not going to teach you how to build a house. It's going to teach you how to deal with things that are going to come up. Checklists are in these things. It's all there. And if it's not there, you can visit my website and ask me for something else too that I can help you out with. I mean, that's what I'm here for.
Which also, to point out, also in the links and everything below the podcast, below the YouTube video, you do include a link to a free giveaway. Do you want to tell us the name of that?
Yeah, so it's the realtorbuilderguide.com. If you go there, you can download the free. I think it's like 48 pages. So it's an ebook, and it's got a lot of good content. You're going to get some good takeaways from that. So that's what it is. I'm just reading it here. Link for 10 mistakes when working with home builders and what to do instead. So it kind of guides you. I mean, working with home builders, they're more difficult because they're too concerned with too many things, and realtors are concerned with their client, making them happy. They're just on 2 different pages, and this kind of will help because there's a lot of work. People don't realize there's a lot of transactions that you can do with builders. If they like working with you, you're going to get a lot of work. Like I used to increase 30%. For some people, it would be up to 30% of what their annual revenue was quickly.
Beautiful.
Just by tweaking what they're doing and how they're dealing with it. And then they become the go-to person, right? And not just for realtors, but the appraisers, banks, and all that. They like the person that, they're going to refer people also. The lawyers also. I mean, they're all these professionals are involved, and they like to refer people they're comfortable with. And when you have the construction intelligence and knowledge, you're just elevated. You're on a different level than what anybody else is. And that's what everybody wants, right? It's a win. You're helping your clients because you know what you're talking about. And you're not gonna be able to be an engineer with my books, and then that's not the goal. That's not the point. but you're going to understand what matters and how to communicate properly. So
Beautiful. I love it. Well, as we're wrapping up here, what's your big audacious goal? What's a big audacious goal you have? I've told you mine: live on a boat, travel, do good in the world. How about you?
well, that's your goals are similar. You know, just getting to where I'm happy with everything. And I mean, we're still adapting to Mexico and that. And I think we're probably going to travel the world also, maybe a sailboat.
Oh,
Yeah, that might be something I would do. I don't know if I travel the world, but I want to do a lot of traveling on a sailboat for sure.
okay.
Yeah.
What kind of boat do you have now?
Well, I don't right now. I sold
Ah.
a couple boats before we moved here, but I did have a 27-foot sailboat. It was nice. It was fun. And then had a Glastron. It was like a 21-foot, just a roundabout.
Sure.
Fun boat, right?
Yeah.
And but I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I'm still trying to figure out what our next chapter is. We got to get our daughter through school and all that. She doesn't go to school here. She loves it, and she wraps up this year.
Okay.
So goals are just continue what we're doing, enjoy what we're doing, make a difference. That's important. I don't really think too far ahead of her, I guess. Maybe that's
Good.
because I will change. I can change on what I want to do, because if I see something that I don't know, if I see something that intrigues me, I'll do it.
Well, what I hear in this conversation also is that you're adapting somewhat of the culture that's around you. You're waiting, you're accumulating what you need so that when you make your decision, you'll make a decision that's wise. It sounds like you'll make a decision that won't necessarily put you out or create debt, which is admirable. You're right. A lot of Americans, I think the average American has less than $1,000 in a checking account and a $300,000 mortgage. So that's a pretty upside down way to live in many ways, if you think about it.
It is, and it's not by design, I'm sure. It's just by, what we're dealt with in a lot of scenarios. Once again, back to being an employee, if you're laid off for 6 months, you're behind.
Yeah.
You're retracting quickly. And that's something that I didn't want to go through that anymore. I mean, we still feel some highs and lows. I mean, that's fine, but you can deal with them, right? And I think it's just easier on your relationship and your family in general if you're not struggling those kind of hurdles all the time.
Yeah. Well, it's not only location freedom and time freedom, but financial freedom is really one of the top goals people have for going into entrepreneurship. And it's been a pleasure hearing about your achievements, everything that you've done, Scott. Thank you for joining me on the show.
Thank you also, LeAnn, and I appreciate you inviting me to this channel, which is great. And I obviously hope the best for yourself and your plans. And I think you're on track for what you're doing. You've got a lot of talent, and it is exciting to be on your show.
Thank you, Scott. It's I have not been to Puerto Vallarta yet.
Come visit.
I'll make sure to get to you when I do.
You bet. Yeah, we see a lot of people come visit. It's we get more visitors now than we have in our lifetimes.
Well, you're welcome to come visit our marina up in Minnesota. We are on the Mississippi. Come on up. Yeah. And that's what we'll do is our trip will start on the Mississippi and go down all the way to the Gulf and then all the way up.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, you'll be coming over to Puerto Vallarta then for sure.
Yep. It'll be fun. Can't wait.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. And to our audience, thank you for joining us on Beyond the Business Plan to unleash your joyful business potential, growth, and your opportunity to go beyond. Remember, entrepreneurship is a voyage you should and can take with other people. So find your tribe for the journey. Give us a like, subscribe, or whatever you do on your favorite podcast or video platforms. Keep shining and aligning with your purpose. And come on back next week for our next inspiring episode. Until then, I'm LeAnn Lyon, your Chief Joy Officer, signing off. Keep spreading the joy, keep leading with heart, and I'll catch you on the next wave of success. Hey, sales setters, do you need energy without the crash? Check out the lifestyle section in our resources on joyminder.com/resources for delicious, healthier coffee alternatives to boost your focus and fuel your hustle. Skip the jitters, love your brew. You can also go directly to whyilovemycoffee.com, and I'll see you there. Thank you for sailing with me on today's Beyond the Business Plan podcast. If this episode helped you as a sales setter, the best next step is to follow the show and share it with one friend who's ready to move beyond burnout into a more joyful, aligned way of doing business in life. To see where you are in the sailing journey and get your next right steps, download the free Sailing System Guide at joyminder.com. And if you're exploring real estate investing or private money lending, you can also learn about working with me at lioncapitallllc.com. Until next time, keep setting your course and adjusting your sails beyond the business plan.